So in thinking about writing the essays, when you see that you made a mistake after you get your feedback back, when you see that you made a mistake, what mental process do you go through to try to repair it?
When I see most of my mistakes, I think to myself, wow, that was dumb. Why did I do that? But then so I can fix it right away. But then there are other mistakes where I'm just staring at it for 2 minutes and I'm like, I swear this was right. And then I just try to figure it out, and then I end up rewriting the whole sentence because I can't figure it out. Not really.
What I usually do is I look at it and I go, okay, what am I trying to say in English? And then I try mentally translating it to Spanish, and then I see if that matches with what I had written. And if it doesn't match, easy fix. It's just what's in my head now is what's right, and I probably made a dumb mistake. But if I'm still getting the same thing as before, then I'm like, oh wait, now what do I do?
I know that I go from checking to see if it's a very basic kind of mistake, and then work my way up to more advanced kind of mistakes. So I see if it was just or I'm in the coded group, so it'll say if I'm subject verb agreement, but I'm talking about overall, there's still special, that doesn't tell you exactly what your mistake is. I'll see if it's a plural noun and I didn't put it's not matching up that way with plural and singular, or if the verb tense isn't matching up with the subject, and then if it's word choice, I see specifically if it's just with an article la with a masculine noun, and then if it's not those basic kinds of mistakes, I start to work my way up to more advanced things like verb conjugation and stuff like that.
I would say probably about at least 75% of the mistakes I make are just easy fixes, maybe just forgot an S here or forgot a preposition or something like that. But so I'll mostly do those first, and then some of the other ones, like some of the other people said, I'll just look at them and I swear this is right, and I'll almost want to just skip it and just pretend it's right, even though I know it's not. And so sometimes I'll really have to think, maybe I used the wrong verb, or maybe I used something else, and I'll usually be able to figure it out, or at least get a good guess on what it was that was wrong. By the way, I'm in the uncoded group, so sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to find out, because you don't know if it's the word that's wrong or just the way you conjugated it or what. So usually I'll just try my best to fix the bigger mistakes, whereas I can fix the small ones more easily.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm the same exact way. Most of the time it's just little small mistakes. First I reread the sentence and then I see does that actually make sense? And most of the time I catch my mistake. But when it comes to maybe I don't know, just sentence structure or something like that, that's a little trickier to reform. So I just kind of blankly stare at it, not knowing what I actually did wrong.
I think from what you three have said, I think it depends on if you're in the coded or uncoded group, because obviously the basic mistakes like you guys were saying, verb tense, pronouns and everything like that we can all kind of fix regardless of if it's coded or not. But those more advanced errors indirect object pronouns and all those more advanced errors, you can, if you're at least in the coded group, which I am, you can maybe refer back to the sheet that you got on it and see oh, what did I do wrong here, and things like that.
I'm in the uncoded, and the first thing I usually do is similar to you guys have said. I look through all of the errors that I have, and I just first see initially if I can look at them and kind of be oh, that was a dumb mistake, I shouldn't have done that, I know that, and then I fix that one right away, and if there's more of those, I do those, and then just kind of go on through the difficulty through there. If there's one I really don't know, I kind of just don't worry about it and go on to the next one. And then eventually when I do come to those, sometimes it'll have come to me by then, and I'll realize how to fix it then. But I just start with the easiest ones kind of first.
Cool. All right, so now that the study has kind of concluded, so to speak, going forward the rest of the year, if you had the choice, if you knew the results of the study, which I can't tell you now, but if you knew the results, if you had the choice, would you rather have feedback that helps you earn a higher grade on the immediate assessment, or the type of feedback that helps your that helps you improve your writing more in the long run?
I would say the feedback that helps me improve with my writing in the long run, because I feel like, okay, like if I get like an A in the class, like that doesn't really say much about my writing skills. That could have just been because that was just like a good day, you know, I was like just doing well or whatever it is. Like it could just be like a situation where I got lucky. But if I actually put in the time and the work, and if I actually acquire the abilities needed to improve my writing, I feel like that's more beneficial in the long run, because I won't be dependent on the circumstances I'm given, you know, like I'll just be confident with the abilities that I have.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. As much as I love getting an A, and as a member of the uncoded group, I feel like my writing has helped me in the long run. And I don't know, that's just how I anticipate the results playing out, because that's what happened for me. So I think that not only has it helped me in the long run, I also feel like on the second draft, I have improved enough to be able to get me to where I want to be on each individual draft, even though I still might have one or two mistakes because I didn't know what type of mistake they were or any of that. But I do believe that it has helped me in the long run, and if I were to choose which group to be in, I would stay with the same group, or whichever group did help more in the long run.
What do you mean by improve in the long run? Like as in after editing a draft, the writing?
Just like over time.
So like over time, the ability to make fewer errors on the first draft.
Instead of, and what's the alternative?
So, yeah, so one of them is like the feedback that helps you earn a higher grade on the immediate assessment. So that means like effectively correct more of your mistakes from draft 1 to draft 2. And the other would be the one that helps you make fewer errors on the first draft going forward.
Oh, definitely making fewer errors on my first draft going forward, because I think that shows how sufficient you are in writing by how well you are able to do on your first draft as time moves on. And I think that was also evident by some of the results that we were getting that first. I know for me that all my first papers were improving over time, and so I think I would definitely rather that's just then easier on me in the long run if I know that like that's just easier on me for it to have my first draft be sufficient enough. It's less time spent on making new drafts and editing.
Yeah, and I think, so for me, when I was, my first essay, when I was done writing it, I was pretty happy with it, and I didn't think there was too many mistakes, but I was, yeah. And I went, okay, well I can just, we'll get a second draft and then I can go from there. And I think now I'm kind of transitioning to the point where I get more and more confident with my first draft. So I think seeing that progress and that development and being able to just, okay, I don't need to worry about like just playing this off and fixing it on the second draft when I can research it and things like that. I feel like I can start getting it now on the first draft by itself. So
I'd much rather have feedback that helps me improve more in the long run, because although I'm sure that there are students whose biggest reason for taking this class is the credit or being able to put it on college apps, that's not my reason, and I'm sure for many of you it's the same. It's because you really want to learn Spanish. I want to improve being able to use Spanish in the general sense, and like in my future, if I'm emailing someone in Spanish for a job or whatever, they're not going to send me my email back with corrections all over it. So I want it to be good the first time.
Sure.
I feel that as much like Maddie said, that like I like getting an A. I would rather improve. Like I'd rather have feedback that would improve, like me in the improve my writing in the long run. Because as much as like you can correct it, get a good grade on the second one, you would rather like in the future when you have no corrections, like you said, you'd want to be able to get your point across without people being like, oh, there's a mistake there and there and there.
Yeah, and I don't know if this necessarily, I don't know who all this pertains to, but for me, at least personally, I know I'm going to continue Spanish after this year. Like there might be, I don't know about the people who are seniors if they're done with Spanish after this year, but I know I'm taking Spanish next year in high school, and also I'm going to do it into college. So my long run, so to speak, is almost more important, or like it will be longer since I plan to continue using Spanish for a long time, whereas somebody else's long run might be to the end of this year because they don't want to, or they don't plan on speaking Spanish much after this year.
Especially if you're going to be like, if you want to be a doctor or something, and you have to write a prescription for someone who speaks Spanish, they're not going to understand it in English, and if you have to write it down, you want to use the best Spanish that you can for them to be like, oh, I don't understand it, there's a mistake.
I guess with me not really knowing like where like my Spanish would be in my future, I don't really know like what or like have a plan for it yet as of yet. I guess I'm like the odd one out. For me, I would rather have the feedback right away and correct it, because mainly it would like kind of boost my confidence for writing Spanish, and that's kind of big for me. And then I'd be able to like on the next one I'd be like, all right, well, you did okay last time, and let's just like go off of that. And it like confidence is good for me. Like if I'm in any class really, if I'm about to take an assessment or a writing essay, something like that, if I'm just confident about it, then I will do better usually.
Cool. Is there anything else you'd like to mention?
I'm really happy that we've been writing more, and I feel like it's not only improved specifically my writing skills, but just my overall Spanish skills, and like a lot of people have mentioned, my confidence in Spanish. So I'm happy we're doing this.
I had pretty much with all my essays, just when you're done being able to look back and be like, yeah, I wrote that. And it's cool to think about sometimes too.
As much as I hate writing essays, I feel like this is helped.
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, good. Thank you guys for participating in focus group.
Look at that, 35.
Appreciate it.
My sister's gonna be like,